Apologies for the delay. We get going in the end. How we all doing? Ooh, I missed a few comments. So, next day. How we feel about it. Let's get a few people in the chat. Shout out to Ali Drew every single time. If only that was the real Ali Drew, then I'd be pretty impressed. Be pretty pleased with myself if that was the real Ali Drew, but I doubt it very much it is. But I'd be pretty pleased with myself if it was. Big up to ZP. Masterful performance from Bivol. Can't see how you could give Canelo more than 3 rounds. As I said about those scorecards were absolutely ridiculous. I mean, like, think of it, like, giving Alvarez the first 4 rounds, like, just not even questioning, just there's the first 4. I mean, people. Boxing embarrassed itself today. Thank God the right man won. I mean, I don't even want to think about the backlash if Alvarez had got the nod. And you know what the thing is about Alvarez? I like Canelo, but there's no comeback. So if Canelo had got the nod last night, that's it. He can sail off into the sunset. Get that title, and just onwards to the next one. Onwards to Triple G. Bivol, as a champion, had to sign a rematch clause. As the champion, Canelo's a voluntary. It's madness. It really, like, boxing, as much as I love the sport, the politics is just getting ridiculous now. You know, it really is, between scorecards, rematches for mandatories, a champion given a voluntary, and he having to sign a rematch clause. It's just ridiculous the amount of politics going on in boxing these days. And, like, it's not just rematches for the big fights. You know, it's rematches for, like, 8-rounders nowadays. It's like, what the hell? Even the G-Man, hope you are well. Crazy to see how many people weren't giving Bivol a chance to win the fight. Picked him to win myself. Thank goodness he wasn't robbed. Yeah, like, I obviously picked Canelo to win. But I said it in the prediction that Bivol has a great chance. But I think, like me, I couldn't see them giving him the decision unless he absolutely beat the living crap out of Canelo. Now, he didn't beat the crap out of him, but he schooled him. Big up to Jack Smith. Come on, let's go. What's taking so long? I got caught up, man. But we're here now. We got there anyway. Mad how Canelo thought he won. I know. Big up G-Man. It's Amira. I'm using my dad's YouTube. Bivol fought like a champion. He certainly did. He fought brilliantly. He was celebrating after the fight. I mean, he earned it. He even was going to stick money on Bivol. Had a 6 cents he might win. I only put a little bit on him, but I got a little bit of money from my troubles, so I can't complain. He deserved the loss for being a you-know-what. I thought Canelo would win on points. Boy, was I wrong. The reach and class showed. Looking forward to Canelo going back down to 168. Still thinks he stays at number 3. Yeah, look, let's not beat around the bush here. Alvarez is still a tremendous fighter. He certainly is. I mean, Alvarez is a tremendously talented fighter. He is, and that of which I've no question about. Like, Canelo was a brilliant fighter. So, not to take anything away in that sense and say, oh, he was exposed. He wasn't exposed. You know, I think that Alvarez just was in there stylistically with someone who was always going to cause him problems. You know, the reach of Bivol, the speed of Bivol, the combination punching of Bivol, the way Bivol was able to pivot Canelo out of there and get him into positions where he can hit him. I mean, Hatman was saying it, and I noticed it as well during the fight. When do you ever see Canelo be looking to attack and then get himself turned onto the ropes? You never see it. I ain't forgot, mate. That Jamie fella told me not to put any money on Bivol points win. Glad I didn't listen to him. Spare a thought for GGG, crying as we speak. Yeah, I'd say Triple G. I mean, what does Triple G do? Because Alvarez is talking about taking the immediate rematch. Apparently, he's already activated it. So what really is Triple G going to do? I mean, he's working with Eddie Hearn, but I'm sure he could be able to kind of go his own way and do his own thing. I would imagine that the Eubank fight is the logical next step for him. You know, it's the only fight for both men. With Kell Brook retiring, I mean, who is Eubank going to fight on pay-per-view? Who are these clowns masquerading as boxing judges? Your guess is as good as mine, man. I think that there's a lot of BS involved in boxing. There really is. And the fact of the matter is, we watched a fight last night where it was clear one guy was in control and one guy was winning. And all the while, we're terrified. What are these scorecards going to say? It shouldn't be like that. It should not be like that. It shouldn't be as. It should not be like that. If Alvarez had won, the backlash would have been greater than Taylor Catterall. I think it would have. I think because it was an even more high-profile fight on the world stage, I think the backlash would have been crazy if Alvarez had won. I'm supposed to be happy. Big up to Joe, by the way, every time. Shout out to Joe Stunner Boxing. I think he got like 560 subs now, mate. So Joe Stunner Boxing, great channel. Give him a look. We try and get Joe. Joe was getting there to 1,000. Let's try and get him to 1,000 as fast as we can. I should be happy that the right man won, but I'm still amazed Bivol got the decision. It's a terrible thing, mate, isn't it, when you think about it? Like, the state we're in with boxing, where we know the right man won. We're glad he won, but we're surprised he got the decision. I mean, how is the sport? How have we gone so far? When you think about it in that context, that we watch a fight, we know the right guy won, we know he was the better fighter, but we're still surprised the judges were able to give him the decision. That's just not right, man. That there's something clearly wrong, and with something I don't know. The problem is, mate, I don't know how you address it. I really don't know how you address it. Like, that's the problem. That's the sad part. Salute to Long Knife. Salutations, big up. Kudos for doing the watch along. Knew I couldn't do that. Yeah, it wasn't too bad. And like, I got a good 2 hours kip, so I was good to go. Like, literally, I went to bed about 6. I was good to go about 8 o'clock the next morning. I was fine, so I was good to go. Bivol deserved a lot of credit for his mental strength as well as his technical prowess. He showed fantastic discipline. He did. And Bivol was always, like, stylistically, you only to look at Bivol and know he was going to be a tough fight. I wonder if Alvarez is regretting not taking PBC up on their offer, because those fights, the Benavidez fight would have been interesting, but Charlo would have been a much easier fight for Alvarez. Either way, man, hope you have a fantastic result for boxing. I really hope he drops down to 168, as we could get undisputed at 175. Yeah, I'd love to see it. I'd love to see Bivol versus Beterbiev. I know we're writing Joe Smith Jr. off, and to his detriment as well, because Joe Smith Jr. can really bang. And here's the thing about Joe Smith Jr., right? We've seen Artur Beterbiev get hurt by Callum Johnson, all right? But Callum Johnson even said himself, the minute he dropped him, he froze. And you could tell. Go back and watch that fight. You can tell the minute he drops Beterbiev, he doesn't know what to do. He literally is kind of like, oh, I've dropped him now. Oh, gee, what do I do? Because he hurt Beterbiev bad in that second round. It was the second or third round, one of them. And he didn't know what to do. He literally just stopped and panicked and was like, oh, crap, what do I do now? Joe Smith Jr., if he drops Beterbiev, he is going to go in for the kill. That guy has killer instincts. Bivol use of touch jab was very impressive, something many British fighters can learn. Yep. And that was one thing as well I liked that he was doing. He was just leaving the jab out there. So at times when he wasn't even trying to hit hard, he was just kind of leaving that jab. And Canelo Alvarez was just like, crap, I can't get by it. It's like, if you really stick a jab on someone, there's not a lot they can do. That was funny when Canelo picked Bivol up. LOL. Yeah, that was crazy. He was lucky not to get a point dock for it. I've seen people get dock points for that. I think Billy Joe was thinking about Triple G right now. Mate, I don't know what Triple G is going to do, or Billy Joe is going to do, because he just seems away with the fairies now at this stage. He got his payday last year, and I think he's gone, man. I'd be surprised if he fights again. Based off, I think he would. I think he probably would, because I think that with Beterbiev against guys like Marcus Brown, you can see Marcus Brown having his success with his boxing, but Brown just fell apart at the seams, mentally as well as physically. Can't see Bivol doing that. G-Man, looks like the Mexican beef got stuck at customs. Apparently he went vegan for this fight. I mean, I'll leave it there. What happened to pound-for-pound rankings now? Does Bivol get inside the top 5? Think Lopez got into like 5 or 6, or take when he beat Lomachenko? Since when was Canelo number 1? Higher. Not sure your thoughts. I really don't tend to do pound for pound, to be honest with you. Like, if you wanted to, who is the best fighter in the world right now? I would say Alexander Usyk, personally. Just in terms of what he brings, his skill, what he's achieved in the sport. I mean, going to cruiserweight, cleaning out that division, and cleaning out. See, here's the thing, right? Whatever you want to say about Canelo, he's a great fighter, tremendous fighter. Cleaning out 168, Plant, Saunders, Smith, Gassiev, Briedis, Glasov, Glowacki, his name was. It's not even comparable. Who was harder? IG man, Alvarez is a beast, but his ambition is getting ridiculous. I still would favour him over Makabu. I think that fight stylistically would suit Canelo quite well. I wouldn't be surprised if he actually goes along and looks for that fight. Yeah, Eubank got good punch resistance and would ultimately take a slew of beating. I still think he'd lose. If the Triple G who fought Murata fights Eubank, I still think he beats him. Canelo wants to bring it must be crazy. He basically got Mikey Garcia. He just wasn't good enough. Bivol has more levels to what we saw, and I say he stops him next time. Canelo gassed early. I think Canelo Alvarez is packing on too much excess weight. I think he maybe spending a bit too much time looking in the weight room, and I don't think that helped him. I don't think that helped him at all. You know, I do think that Canelo, he can make it more competitive, but that Bivol style is always going to bother him. GGG already beat Canelo and didn't get the call. Might be different now at 40s. That's the thing. Like, I think that Triple G at this stage now, it's just like, well, you know, he definitely has a lot more than most 40-year-olds, but it's not. I think he's just regressed significantly enough that it's Canelo all the way. Is the best in middleweight of all the boxers I've seen. Saying Eubank Junior beats Canelo light heavy, so light heavy. So for Alvarez, watch UFC. LOL. I've never got into UFC, man. I've tried. It's never been for me. I know a lot of non-boxing fans thinking that boxing is bad as horse ride or cricket for dodginess. The percentage of boxing as a bench sport, the perception of boxing as a bench sport is putting a lot of people off. Yep. I can't really argue with that. But look, a shock like this was not really a shock, but a result like this does help the sport. And as Hatman was saying in his post-fight, we need upsets. I mean, upsets are think of when AJ lost to Ruiz. We could talk about that non-stop, and the boxing world was talking about it, was reaching other people. We need big upsets in the sport of boxing. We need them. The only way we can ever resolve the issue of incompetent judges is to boycott the sport, and very few people would do that. Yeah, you got to hit the sports rulers where it hurts the most in the wallet. You're spot on there, and I think that would be one of them. You see, the thing is, like, I mean, where else is there a sport? And at the end of the day, those scorecards being as bad as they are, nothing will get. Now, I know obviously the right man won, but they don't have to explain them because, well, the right man won, didn't he? That's the kind of way a lot of the people like higher up in boxing would take it. They'd be like, the scorecards were too close. Why doesn't he explain them? Well, surely the right guy won, didn't he? That's kind of the way they look at it. Dell sounded so happy in his post-fight. Yeah, I haven't actually seen Dell's post-fight. I'll have a look at it straight after this, actually. I'm not going to go as long tonight because I'll tell you why. It is 20-8, and I really, really, really want to watch the F1. So we will go until just before 8:30. I want to watch the race in Miami. Canelo had too many of those protein shakes before the fight. He clearly needed to stop drinking them. I'm old school when it comes to boxing, man. I believe old school nutrition is the best. Billy Joe's done. Yeah, I mean, like Billy Joe, he ain't fighting anytime soon, man. Anytime soon. A very good boxer who was way bigger than Canelo was always going to give him hell. And this, like, stylistically, you just knew this was going to be hard. But I genuinely couldn't envisage them giving him the decision. And as I said, they didn't even play his national anthem. I was thinking in my head, like, are they going to be fair to him on the scorecards regardless? Like, even take the situation out of the equation and you add that in, it's like adding fuel on the fire. I thought they wouldn't give it to him as well for that reason. Would you kneel before Bivol after the magnificent win? I wouldn't kneel before anyone, mate, but I definitely tip my hat off to the guy. Say G-Man, Mickey here for the live. Big up the One Punch Mickey. I got the impression that Canelo was looking past Bivol, who we knew was already a hard night's work for other things. Never a good idea. Canelo is a consummate professional, so I doubt he looked past them. But I don't think I think Canelo, if you ever see Canelo when a decision's getting read, he never has an air of kind of uncertainty about it. It's always a real case of, I got this. Like, even against Austin Trout and people like that, it was always like, I got this, I got this. Well, Bivol looked good last night. He did look fantastic. Canelo looked bigger than Kovalev. Well, Kovalev had that rehydration clause, so there was none for this fight. To clarify, I was saying GGG would give Eubank a slow beating. Oh, yeah, he would. I think that in hindsight, if that Eubank Jr. fight had happened in 16, that would have been that might not have ended well. That would have ended badly for Eubank. The squats helped Canelo pick up Bivol. Canelo has some strong ass legs, I'll tell you that. Do you think Canelo will try and offer Bivol a lot more money to meet him at a lower catch weight? So we will have an advantage in the rematch. No title will be on the line. He'll want the title. I can't see that, mate. He'll want that title. Still can't believe how much I saw talk about Usyk fight at 201. Madness just felt it was disrespectful to both Canelo and Usyk, talking about whether they're interested or not. I was like, Canelo's not going to fight Usyk. He can talk about it, but he's not going to fight him. I could see Conor Ben losing all the matchroom. Stars are taking beatings like my Albanian mum did to me with my belt. Jesus, mate. Eddie Hearn, it's been a hard few months for Eddie Hearn, hasn't it? AJ losing, looking like he's going to fight on Sky next. Obviously, Hearn's going to be part of it, but he wants to get eyes on the zone. Canelo losing, Dylan White losing. Who else lost? Been a few other losses he had to take. It's not been good. Look, Eddie Hearn hasn't got any stars either, if you think about it. Like, real stars. So it's not... Hearn is going through some hard times now. How many fights do you think Canelo has left? I'd say about... I reckon about 7, 8. No shame on him for losing. He dared to be great. Glad the decision went the right way. Exactly. Last night I came across the Steve Bunce Jay Goody video for the first time. An incredible bit of broadcasting. I've never seen it. No intention of seeing it. I can only imagine. How do you think Andre Ward would have done against Canelo or Bivol? Or, sorry, how he would have done against Bivol or Beterbiev? Ward against Bivol would have been a very interesting fight. Ward against Bivol. Now, that's a fight I would have liked to have seen. I just favour Andre Ward to win that fight, and again, I'd favour him. I favour him against both guys, to be honest with you. But Bivol would be a really, that'd be a pure boxing match. That would be just, I don't think a lot of the fans would like that fight, to be honest with you. I think a lot of them would boo it because it would be a pure boxing match. If the judges tried everything to give Canelo a decision, but once it got so one-sided, they had to hit the abort button. Canelo won 3 rounds max. Yeah, big up to you, G-Man, loving the hard work. Well, thank you, mate. And yes, I still can't quite get my head wrapped around the first 4 rounds going to Canelo. I mean, that was just mind-blowing. That was, as you see the thing going up the road, if you heard that. But that was just mind-blowing to me that they gave the first 4 rounds. I just can't see how anyone with a rational mind can do that. And the fact that they all did it, I mean, Jesus. Will you make content? Yes, I will. That is coming. I'm just working on this boxing now at the minute, more so than anything else, because I love doing that. They take a long time to make and do, but we will be working on that sooner rather than later. It's just I'm focusing on getting this channel where I want it to be. If you know what I mean. I'm getting this channel growing, and I'm spending that much time talking box. I don't have time to do the research on some of these, but I will. Believe me, I will. I'm thinking what to do is just doing them all in bulk, like recording like 5 or 6 in a row and just doing them gradually every week, every second week. As soon as I saw that untouchable nonsense in Canelo's ring walk, alarm bells are ringing, losing focus, AJ syndrome. Yeah, no one is untouchable. In this sport of boxing, nobody is untouchable. That's just, no one is. Even funnier this after Canelo was talking about, I mean, it just, you couldn't make this stuff up, man. Smash the like button, people. Everyone, please come on. You have 22 likes and 82 in the building. So if you could smash the like button, help us get to 50 likes. I appreciate that, lads. Really would. Just my thoughts, but I think Canelo probably beats most light heavyweights, but I think light heavyweights beyond his natural weight. And when you're facing elite fighters, can make a difference. Yeah, I agree. I think Canelo's natural ideal peak weight is 168. I think at him at that weight, he is perfect. I think that is his ideal weight. I think he's just gone a way too far as well. Billy Joe has his own postcode these days. he's been on the 2015 Tyson plan or something. It's a bad case of Ricky Hatton. I mean, Billy Joe has never been disciplined. That's one of the reasons why he nearly got stripped in 2016, having never defended his title because he couldn't get himself in shape to defend it. Do you think Canelo Bivol at super middleweight would have been closer? I think that Bivol would always give Canelo issues, and more than likely, if they were to fight 10 times, probably 8-2 to Bivol. I mean, I think I can see a case where Canelo can win, but I think Bivol's always going to give Canelo issues. Would Cinnamon defeat Beterbiev? Different style. Beterbiev is an easier target to hit, but I think at light heavyweight, this is a bridge too far. I think if we're talking about a prime Beterbiev, no. Also, no shame losing to Bivol. Great to see a big name taking a risk. And here's the thing as well for Dmitry Bivol. It's nice to see someone who people didn't know who the hell Bivol was. So this will elevate Dmitry Bivol as a result. I think if Canelo had lost the Triple G, no disrespect, but it's when you have someone who's kind of an unknown, as Bivol is, it's nice because it's shooting him into the stratosphere as well. Whereas if he'd already lost to someone who say is already there, at least he didn't take a champ on his way out. Best man won't go to say. No stars, Felix Cash. Mate, Felix Cash, I would consider him a star. He's a fun guy to watch, but I don't think Eddie Hearn. I mean, Eddie Hearn has never really been. He's never really put Felix Cash up on that same pedestal. And Cash isn't a bad fighter, but I wouldn't see him as a potential star. If Marku beats Ben, would it be a bigger upset than this? Well, is it like an upset per se is Canelo versus Bivol? Because I don't think any of us expected him to get the decision. But like in terms of as a fighter, he's a brilliant fighter. It's not really that big of an upset. I wouldn't be picking Marku over Ben, but he certainly can punch. So I wouldn't see it as a foregone conclusion. So I don't see either of them as massive upsets, to be honest with you. Yeah, GG would beat the brakes off Eubank. Would like to see it happen. See what Eubank Sr. would say. This man is a savage. He savaged my son. My son might never be the same. Felt like Bivol got comfortable with the power in the later rounds. Yeah, I think Canelo gassing a bit in the later rounds helped, so the power was a bit negated. Canelo should move on. That is not a good rematch. No, I think stylistically he's going to be in trouble. I got a prediction spot on. Bivol was superior and superb. Saul will bounce back at 170, but 175 is the limit. As obvious it was. Your channel is expanding. Great, G-Man. Thank you, Chris. A big up to you, my man. Thank you so much. There's no way on God's great earth that Canelo won the first 4 rounds. I don't understand it. I really, like, when I looked at it, I had to look at it. I actually looked at it and I was like, oh, a bit of logic. They gave the first 4 rounds to Bivol. Just not even reading the names. I didn't even read the name. I just assumed they gave the first 4 rounds to Bivol. And then I saw Bivol was 9. I was like, no. I was like, what? I mean, that first round, clear Bivol round. The second round you gave to Canelo. And I was a bit kind of, it could go either way. That second round, you could have scored it either way. But the other 3 was like, these are Bivol rounds. And clear Bivol rounds. I mean, you cannot give them any other way. And the fact that they gave Alvarez the first 4 rounds, incredible. Ain't it funny, just as he gets the air of invincibility, he gets beat easy. It is quite remarkable, isn't it? Like that the minute we start thinking who's going to beat Canelo, can we even envisage him losing? He goes and loses. Yeah, Billy Joe is finished. I don't see him coming back. Is this putting an end to Canelo a heavyweight? Yep, it's gone. Yeah, love to see people who said Bivol, who's Bivol and called him no good. That was the thing that irritated me a lot. Not about people on YouTube, just the general people in general who I knew who I was like, oh, Canelo's fighting. No, who was he fighting? Dmitry Bivol. Who? Oh, so he's not fighting anybody good, is he? It's like, this guy's real good. Well, I never heard. He must not be that good. It's like, oh my God. Try and talk sense into them. Big up to Tony. Really enjoying the commentary, G-Man. What do you think will happen in the rematch if Canelo goes in with it? Much more of the same, to be honest with you, mate. I don't see... I really don't see a scenario how he can get by it. I mean, I think stylistically, Bivol's always going to be wrong for him. I still worry if there is a rematch, if Canelo is maybe a bit busier and paces himself a bit better, that maybe just on sheer clean punching and volume, they might give him the fight. There's always a risk with Alvarez. It's always a big risk. I said many months on many channels that Saul's prime is similar to Roy Jones. I said Bivol will be able to solve what Tarver was able to do. Boxing always repeats itself, and boy, did it last night. Yep. Your true crime channel is good. Always a good way. Yeah, I need, like, as I said, man, like, I'm trying so hard to get this channel to where I need it to be that I'm neglecting the other one. And the other one is done well. It's got 700 subs. True Crime with G-Man, anyone wondering? And there's a backlog of videos on there as well. And I think Kern was going to feed. Imagine, people. Could you imagine what Buatsi would have got absolutely shafted? I hope there is no rematch. I'd say there will. Hey, G-Man, do you think if Smith Jr. beats Beterbiev, I think he will. Interesting. Interesting. You think he'll beat Beterbiev? I could certainly envision it. Like, I'm not going to say for definite that he won't. I definitely think that there's a possibility there. But I think I'm sticking with safety first and going with Beterbiev myself. He's improved. I think Joe Smith Jr. took a lot from that Bivol loss in defeat. I really do. And he's looked very good lately. Very good. I mean, that Jesse Hart fight, he looked tremendous. He looked like a new man in that fight. Didn't know G-Man had a crime channel. I'll look it up. Thanks for the heads up. Yeah, True Crime with G-Man. I think I've got about 8 or 9, maybe more videos on serial killers and crimes committed. I will get back to working on that. It's coming, mate. It's coming. We just need to get time. Those videos take an hour to record because you're talking the whole way through. They take a long time to research. And I just don't have the time, mate. But we will get there. Ward lost to Kovalev. Bivol would beat him if it was fair. I thought Ward won the Kovalev fight the first time. I'm one of very few, but I did score that fight to Ward. If Canelo takes a rematch, will he be stripped of his? They won't strip him. No way. They will not strip him. What? They won't strip him. Like, I mean, I think the WBC still have him as franchise champion. They won't strip him at middleweight. I think a lot of us would have picked Bivol to win if we felt he had any chance of getting the decision. As you were saying, we now expect corruption. That's it. Like, I mean, like, if you look at this fight from the outset, I mean, you would say that Bivol, I still thought Alvarez might have done better than he would have, but you would say Bivol has every chance in the world of beating Canelo. But we just know to expect with these cash cows, they'll get the rub of the green. That we just kind of say, well, he should. Bivol can win, and there's a perfectly reasonable situation in which this could happen, this guy could win. We're going to get the decision. And it shouldn't be like that. That's not the way a sport should be. I mean, at the end of the day, like, you look at a sport like darts, you clear 501 and you end on a double. There's not a situation where it's like you've hit double 12 and you've had 3 judges saying, is that in? By unanimous decision, it isn't. It doesn't happen. It's just, there you go. He's the better man. He's won. Should Alvarez defeat? No, not a chance, mate. I don't see that happening. I think Canelo would find cruiserweight division so much easier than 175. I think he'd find it extremely difficult, mate. Extremely difficult. I mean, them guys are huge. Bivol has that. Bivol was a good amateur as well. I remember watching him on one of Povetkin's undercards. I think it was, apologies, plug that back in. I think it was when he fought Marius Wack, and that was on the undercard when Povetkin fought Wack. Bivol was on it. I think he was only 4-0 or 5-0, and you could see the talent there. You could see how good he was there. That was 6 years. It'd be 7 years in November. Bivol was an untapped potential. Nobody knew how good he was. You could see it, though. You could easily see it. Only casuals thought Bivol didn't have a chance. A real boxing fan knew the truth. Yep. Canelo gets beat at 175 at cruiserweight would be utter humiliation. I genuinely believe Buatsi and Richards would beat Canelo too. Alvarez is great, but he can only accomplish so much. I do think there are plenty of 175 pounders he could beat, but people like Beterbiev, even Joe Smith Jr. I mean, Joe Smith Jr. is more stylistically friendly to Alvarez, but Alvarez is so physically strong that if he met someone who could push him back like Joe Smith Jr. would do, because Joe Smith is a beast at 175 in terms of his physical strength. He is phenomenal. Like, Beterbiev is strong, but I reckon Beterbiev is going to get the shock of his life against Joe Smith when he feels how physically strong Joe Smith Jr. is. Where was Plant and Billy Joe? So why were Plant and Billy Joe so bad? Because they're feather fisted. I think they just simply were not as good. They were here. Canelo was there. It didn't matter with the weight. Got a feeling Cambos will beat Haney. Yeah, I think he might as well, but I'm still going to go with Haney to win that fight. I'm still picking Haney. I saw this coming with all the invincibility Usyk talk, when this could be his 6th loss and Bivol potential, Bivol politics aside, was the logical choice. As Tony Bellew, remember he wanted to get the fight, remember he wanted to get back to his wife. I know, absolute worst. Oh, I mean, that guy. Apparently he's disabled the comments on his Twitter now. I mean, you know you're in trouble when you're doing that. Canelo was undefeated in almost 10 years. He probably started believing the myth. I think that it brings it into context when we do start talk. Because I remember Ade had me on TalkSport one day. It was last autumn. And at the time, I was kind of thinking as well, like, who does? And we were thinking, like, who logically does beat Canelo? And I think we were all kind of buying into it. We were like, because I was thinking of it myself. I was like, I can make a case for this guy beat, but will they get the nod? And you're starting to think, like, how, like, you almost got to stop Canelo in order to get there. But no, Bivol was better. Only 3 men can beat Canelo. Howard Foster, yeah, exactly, man. Howard Foster tried to beat Alexander Usyk. Big up G-Man, always giving the golden content. Which fights that are scheduled are you excited for? Also, do you know much about Bentley's opponent Friday? Yeah, I do. Linus Udofy he's a good fighter, man. And I think that this could be, like, Denzel Bentley is a good fighter, he's a good athlete. But that Felix Cash fight, I think that Felix Cash fight took something out of Denzel Bentley. It really did. I picked Denzel Bentley, to win the fight. And I genuinely thought he would. Boy, was I wrong. And me and Dell were both, I think we bought into Bentley's athleticism. When he lets it go and he is in the motion, he looks great, but I think he's just as afraid of getting hit. Linus got a good win over, I can't remember his name now. It's gone. But who was it? It's going to piss me off now. But he fought someone on a boxer show back in October. And I thought he looked tremendous in it. And I think Linus is going to win this fight. Other fights I'm looking forward to. I'm always looking forward to Tank Davis versus Rowley. I think that's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to Yoka this week. This coming up Friday. It's a Friday or Saturday. It's for a Saturday. Yoka versus McCauley. And I'm looking forward to Castano Charlo this weekend as well. So I'm looking forward to those 3. We've got some good fights coming up. They haven't announced anything for the summer, really, that much. But in terms of these fights, I'm looking forward to all these fights. I think they're all going to be fun to watch. Canelo forgot how to speak. I think Canelo fights GGG, then takes a big crossover money fight. I'm surprised he's not doing it already, to be honest with you, because he would make a bomb doing that. Should fight Charlo next. Yeah, he beat the crap out of Charlo. I wonder if he's regretting not taking that PBC deal. Vitali's saying Bivol should never have fought Canelo because he's from there. But Max Box Joe Lewis under the flag of Nazi Germany, not a big deal as long as the national anthem isn't on. I mean, that's just, look, I don't want to go into that. I already talked a bit about that, man. Shout out to Base the Kid, the hardcore casual. People, Base, I think Base has only got about 220 subs. Base, the consummate professional, does great content, so big up to him. So if you haven't, Base the Kid, the hardcore casual, there it is on screen. Go and check him out. Great channel. What's up, G-Man? I'll be back later to join in the fun. Big up to you, man, every single time. Shout out to Base the Kid. Has actually a video up today as well. I need to catch up on. 100 people in the building. Gonna just ask quickly if you could. Help your boy out and smash the like button. The Eastern European style is starting to shake the boxing world. It's such a frustrating style. The face is beautiful. And you know something that I love about the Eastern European style is they teach their fighters how to punch hard. They really do emphasize on the. When have you ever seen? I mean, there obviously is a few. But when do you see Eastern European fighters feather-fisted? They teach them fighters and the amateurs how to punch hard. Where in the UK and Ireland, it's the opposite. They're actually telling you not to punch hard. They're trying to deter you from hitting hard. That's why when you see a lot of these guys, they can bang. I feel Bivol could also have stopped Canelo. That would have been a job. Canelo has a good chin and he's got a decent enough defense. That would have been a job. I'm from Eastern Europe and our style is so underrated. It is. And it's a good style to watch. I think in Eastern Europe, they get you guys ready for the pros. Like that, your style over there is more pro suited than it is. Even though you guys do great amateurs, which is great because I think you get a bit of everything. Whereas in the UK, it's like, and in Ireland, it's like this is the amateur style. You stick with it, and then you're trying to learn the pro style in the pros. If Usyk's demand you walk him to the ring in his rematch with AJ, would you comply? If he asked me, I would. Yeah, no problem. I'd walk with him. No way they rematch. Team Bivol. Bivol said for the rematch to happen, they want favourable terms. Yep, and he's right. See. Here's the thing. He beat him. He beat him. So he deserves favourable terms. I mean, Canelo lost. So I think Bivol should be entering second for starters. Definitely. And I think he should get better terms. Bivol said the whole week, I believe in myself, my ability, believed in himself, whereas Plant and Billy didn't. A good big man beats a good, yep. And Bivol, you could see he had that confidence. What's your pick for Bacoli Yoka? Fun fight going on the radar. I like that fight, mate. I really think it's a good fight. And you're right, it is going on the radar. I think Yoka should win it, probably on points. Probably on points. I would have liked to have seen Yoka versus Hrgovic. Thank you, people. If you could, Carl, hit the like button. Thank you. It's shameful the way he was so disrespected from start to finish. It's disgraceful, Joe. It's absolutely disgraceful. It really is. I mean, who cares where he's from? He's not involved in what's going on. It's not his fault. Leave the man alone, please. And Lou DiBella. See Lou DiBella's comment saying, I'm, glad it went this way, but I'm unhappy because Putin will be happy. I'm sure he doesn't give a rat's furry ass whether Bivol won or not. It's just leave it out, people. Just leave it out. It's boxing. Let sport be what it is. Just let any sport, just let it be what it is. Sport is our escape. I think that's why a lot of, for me, sport is an escape from the reality of life. The last thing I want to do is turn on the boxing match and them talking about this, that, and the other. It's like, please, just stop. What's up, G-Man? Salute from Tacoma, Washington. I'm assuming WA is Washington. Is it Washington? Or is it Wyoming? Or Wisconsin? So up to base the kid. There you go. You think the European style is better than the Cuban? The Cuban style is brilliant. They're both very good. They really are. The Cuban style, the Mexican style. The Mexican style it's great against the British fighters. The British fighters really struggle with that. They really do. How you see Canelo versus Bivol or Beterbiev going, G-Man? I see it being a better fight for Canelo stylistically. But if Beterbiev still has enough left, I think he should still be able to win. Beterbiev is a freaking cruiserweight, mate. Beterbiev fought Usyk in London 2020 at heavyweight. Now, heavyweight, obviously, in the amateurs is the same as cruiserweight in the pros. So this is a unit. And I think the size it'd be just too big. Fact of the day, Prime Klitschko will beat Tyson. Which Klitschko? Which Klitschko now? Vitaly? I'd pick Vitaly. Vlad? You see, Vlad would if Vlad fought Tyson, right? If Vlad wasn't allowed to hold, I'd pick Tyson. If Vlad wasn't allowed to hold, because if Vlad starts holding, he is gonna absolutely, because we've seen how bad Klitschko's holding is. I think we kind of forget. We kind of forget how bad it was. Klitschko with the fouling, Vladimir with the holding. It was incessive. It was unbelievable if you think about it. If you just see Povetkin, I think we need to be reminded about Povetkin. That Povetkin fight was unbelievable. The way Klitschko was able to dominate Povetkin. And the funny thing is, right, if you go back and watch Povetkin-Klitschko, Povetkin in the first 90 seconds of the first round, before Klitschko really started implementing the holding, because he already fell Povetkin early on in the first round. But if you go back and watch the first round, Povetkin in the first 90 seconds is getting the better of it. He's winning that round. Right? He's winning it. And Klitschko's getting uncomfy because Povetkin is pressuring him. And he's actually having a bit of success with it. And that's when Vlad starts the incessant grabbing, the leaning, the holding. If he'd not been allowed to get away with that, I think he would have still won. but it would have been a much, much better fight, and I would have given Povetkin a much better chance of winning. Professional boxers don't represent their country anyway. It's not like Bivol was boxing for that country like the Olympics. Exactly, like, just crazy. Where was I? Loved how Bivol went toe to toe, head to head in the later round, stood his ground when to make sure he won. Yep, he won. He wasn't. See, Bivol, I love this as well. Bivol wasn't just content to cruise it. He wanted to stamp his authority on it. I'm Brit living in Armenia, totally agree with the style, teaching you to hit harder. What's your opinion on Beterbiev if he went to cruiser? Could he beat a Cody? You see, I think he'd have a lot of success at cruiser. I really do. The thing about Lawrence Okolie is I find it very hard to pick against him because he is so long and rangy, and a bit like, funny enough, a bit like Klitschko, he has a way when it gets tough, he reverts the type and he just shuts them down with holding and clinching. It is horrible to watch. Like that last fight he had, it was awful to watch, but it's effective at the same time. And I mean, that was awful to watch. The match odds were ridiculous for this fight, 9-2. I got Bivol at 7-2. I was still happy enough with that. I don't normally bet that much, but I was happy enough to that. Bivol won. He didn't beat Canelo. Bivol won. He didn't beat Canelo. Yeah, I don't get you, mate. So he definitely won. The Mike Tyson of 87, 88 would smash through both Klitschko's. Vlad would have gone on a few rounds, and Vitali would last into the mid rounds, but would get stopped on his feet. I do think Vitali versus Vlad is a trickier fight, or versus Mike is a trickier fight, but Vlad, definitely, the speed of Tyson would have given Vlad fits. The shots, I mean, Vladimir, I do think that if you're talking about prime Vladimir, the hooks and the quick shots, like look at, I know Corey Sanders is a southpaw, but when you get a fighter with fast hands in there against Vladimir, he did tend to struggle a bit, didn't he? If you think about it, like Corey Sanders, it wasn't just the southpaw stance. Corey Sanders has fast, or he had. He's dead now, R.I.P. Corey Sanders. Great fighter. Tremendous fighter was Corey Sanders. Tremendous puncher as well. Great fighter, really was. But the speed of Sanders really bothered Vlad. It really, and he couldn't adjust. You could see it early on. Corey Sanders was able to find the left hand on Klitschko, and it was the speed of Sanders. Because think of it like this, right? How many fast heavyweights were there in Klitschko's era? Hay was fast, he was able to shut him down. But I don't think Hay was necessarily as quick as Sanders. Sanders had tremendous speed. He fought an ancient Rackman. Shagayev was slow. Who else did he fight? He fought a Bragimov who wasn't the quickest. He fought, who else? Pulev, not the quickest. You'd struggle to find someone as quick as Sanders. Corey Sanders now. What's next for Triple G then, G-Man? Go for undisputed at 160? I would say probably. I think he's going to look maybe to go down the road of fighting Eubank Jr. I think that fight might make some good sense. You know, I think there'd be a demand for it. I definitely think they do a pay-per-view in the UK. I'd still pick Triple G to beat Eubank Jr. But Eubank Jr. now, Kell Brooks retired. I mean, who else is he going to fight? Who else is out there for him? I mean, there's no one really. Big up from France. I would like to say the difference was not so big between them on fight night. I saw an ITW an interview where Bivol said he will add really only 6 to 8 pounds. Yeah, Bivol is not the biggest light heavyweight in the world. And see, that's why I think Canelo didn't bother with the rehydration clause. Because in reality, like, what would he need the rehydration clause for? Because Dmitry Bivol is someone who makes the weight reasonably comfy. You know, he does. He makes the weight reasonably straightforward. So for me, adding the rehydration clause, it's not really going to hinder Dmitry Bivol that much. Like Kovalev, yes, it would. But Bivol, nah, he was always going to be good. He was always going to do that weight quite well, in my opinion. I don't see there being, I never saw there being a massive issue there. Shout out to some great boxing channels. Hatman, Chris Andre, Punch Perfect, and Joe Stunner. Also, the YB is funny for boxing comedy. G-Man, top of the list. Yes, hashtag the knowledge. Big up, man. And yeah, all great channels. I mean, Chris Andre. where do you even begin with him? I mean, he is his predictions and breakdowns. You do like he is. If ever a man is wasting away doing YouTube, it's Chris Andre. He needs to be. I'm telling you now, he needs to be doing these on TV. Then someone needs to sign him up. Because when you listen to Chris speak and the way he communicates, he's articulate, the way he communicates, he's well spoken, and his eye for boxing. I mean, like, he's picking up on stuff, and I'm just like, how do you, like, it's incredible to watch. So, and Chris is starting to gain, like, he's got over 4,000 subs now, has Chris, and, you know, long may it continue. I think he's been doing quite well. 4,350 now he has on his channel. So Chris is doing great things, and really, I mean, he is just absolutely fantastic. Jamie and Joe, great guys. Hatman, got to shout him out every single time. So it's nice to be it's nice to be named with all them. But definitely Chris, I mean, his predictions are just, and previews, I mean, they're just incredible to watch. They really are. I mean, and again, as I say, he's picking up on stuff that you don't even think to look for. It actually makes you want to raise your game, and you're thinking like, I gotta have another listen. I gotta look at this and see it, because it's crazy. Yeah, Chris's breakdowns are the best on YouTube. They really are. They really are. So shout out to Chris. I know he tends to listen back to a lot of these. So if Chris is listening, yo, I was gonna big you up, man. And I've met Chris in person, and he is a great guy as well. I met him when I was over in the UK back in March. We met up there. We met one day of the tube strike. It took me 2 hours to get back to the hotel because of the tube strike. But that's a topic for another video. So people, what time are we at now? I don't want to cut this too early, but I just want to get the start of the race. So we're 8:15. We can go in for little over 45 minutes. So unless anyone has anything else they want to add, I'm probably going to leave it here, because I want to catch the start of the race in Miami. And obviously I'm hoping Max Verstappen comes out on top. Again, big fan of Verstappen. See, I can be a fanboy for F1 on here, and I could say I'm a big Max Verstappen fan, so I'm hoping he gets the win in Miami. So for now, I will leave you, unless, what's that say? The best box runs are the one that make you think, where you say, I hadn't thought of that. Yep. That's always I always want to make people think. And you know, I love doing this. Like, even if I didn't make any money from YouTube, I still keep doing it for fun, because it's just great. Just great to get your opinion across. It's great to talk about sport you love. And I don't really get to talk about it enough with my friends. So it's great to be able to come on here and have debates and have discussions and just talk about this sport. As much as we moan about it, and the, you know, inconsistency with judges and the stuff that goes on, it's still my favorite sport, bar none. I love this sport. Absolutely love it. I'm very passionate about this sport. I love this sport. It's the greatest sport, and it's just the best. No sport comes close to it. I love F1. Watched since I was a kid. It'll never come close to boxing. Never. And speaking of F1, I'm going to catch the F1 now, so I'm going to leave it here. People, I hope you enjoyed the stream. I'm obviously going to get review of the week out. Someone's asked when's the next boxing watch along. It's a good question. I will do one. I'm not doing one this weekend. I'm going to chill this weekend, but I will definitely do one for Boazzi versus Richards, because I can't watch the zone. I just can't watch it. It's awful. The commentary and the team, it's just, with the exception of Ade and Andy Lee, I just can't listen to it. So I always do watch alongs for the zone. Always. That'll be the next one. That's the next one. Craig Richards versus Joshua Boazzi, next watch along. Until then, people, I'll leave you with that. Smash the like button on the way out if you could. I hope you all enjoyed this stream. For now, I'll talk to you all.